What's up, everybody? This is Ed from South Jersey Vapors. Today we have the Stingray clone. This is by Infinite. It came in with the matching drip tip. It came with all the different parts you need to put it in any battery size configuration. It was purchased off of eBay. It was given to me by a friend of mine for the purpose of review. I've had it for about 3 weeks now and I'm loving it. It's the only mod I've actually used in the last 3 weeks. So we're going to break it down. We're going to look at the threads. We're going to look at the top cap, the floating pin, the way the switch assembles, and then we'll go back out and we'll give you my final thoughts and let you know what I think of this bad boy. So we have the Stingray clone by Infinite. You can hear my cameraman's atomizer whistling as he takes a nice big fat vape off of it. Alright, so Stingray clone, Infinite. Really, really well done. We'll start with the engravings. The engravings are pretty deep. Not super deep, not as deep as some other mods that I've had, but they're holding up really well. This has about 3 weeks of use on it, and I haven't done anything to clean it. I haven't done anything to it at all. I basically took it out of the box, put an atomizer on it, and started taking rips right off of it. The serial number is pretty discreet, right down by the lower band. You got the Stingray, goes into the lettering. I like that. It's a pretty cool, unique thing. The drip tip, we'll cover that real quick. The drip tip is also laser engraved with the JD Mods logo on it. This is a pretty nice drip tip. It's pretty wide bore, not super wide. I'd call it about a medium wide. Looks great with the mod. It matches it with the stainless steel and the brass. And if you look at this thing, I don't believe that it's brass plated. I believe that it's actually a piece of brass slid up a sleeve of stainless steel up into the rolled mouthpiece. So it comes out really, really nice. So we'll set that to the side for a second and we'll focus on the mod. Go ahead and take off this Kraken. This is a Kraken with dual wicks on it, and it's coming out to about 0.34. Just keep that in mind for when we do the voltage drop test. The other engraving that's really nice on here is in the bottom button. You can see that they've inlaid brass there, and it's wrapped in a nice piece of stainless steel, and it's got the engraving for the JD Mods logo on the bottom of it. Go ahead and take this apart now. So bottom button comes off. Stainless steel lock ring. Flick friendly. I mean, it really just cruises right up and down those threads with no troubles whatsoever. I'm not going to take it off. I think it's pretty thin, much like a Nemesis one, so having it off the mod is a really good chance that you could bend it, make it really difficult to get it back on and get it working nice. We'll set the battery to the side, take the top cap off. Let's talk about the top cap. Top cap's made out of brass. It's capped in stainless steel. You can see that the brass appears to be recessed underneath this stainless steel. That provides the air channels. They're actually pretty deep. They go down the side and pop out around the edge of the top cap ring here. And they're always wide open. They don't function for me because I'm always using a Genesis atomizer that has its own air feed up near the top. But if you have a 510 connection that needs to be air fed, this thing will probably work out pretty well for that. I haven't tested it for it because I haven't had a Pro Tank in a long time. The pin, as you can see, when I tilt it down, the pin pops out, pops back in, pops out. So the floating pin is really well done. It's got the black Delrin. The Delrin's recessed below the actual brass here. So it's a nice flush build, really, really high quality, really, really nice. Let's talk about the tube again. Again, I've had this for 3 weeks. I've let it discolor and patina, and it came in as a polished mod, and it's getting this really interesting kind of light champagne color to it, which I really dig. Now, what you don't notice, or what you should notice on other mods, you would see a seam normally where these two tubes fit together, because I do have the 18650 tube on top of the core tube. But you see, as I go ahead and unscrew it, there's your seam. And the threads are super duper silent, really, really fine. And if you can see this on your computer screen, they're cut really well. No burrs, no nothing. I had no issues at all when I was putting this thing together. It is 3 entry point threading, so it's really easy to find. The starting point, look at that. Oh, the seam disappeared. Where'd it go? That's great. Go ahead and set this thing together. The one thing that you have to be careful of with at least this one, and I don't know if it's the whole run or if it's just mine, I've been looking for information to see if anybody has had the same problem, and that is with the button. If you don't put this mod together just so and perfectly and to the right tightness, it doesn't need to be cranked down, then the button gets a little bit crunchy. The battery needs to be like completely perfect inside of the tube. It can't be cocked in either direction. And the reason for that is once you get it cocked in a certain direction, then the button tends to bind up around the bottom here. So let's go ahead and we'll fasten this on. It's going to be for our voltage drop test. I've been using this battery a little bit, but it's pretty fresh charge and it'll get us in the ballpark. When I got this in, I did not do any cleaning of any of the contacts. I just put an atomizer on it because I was really excited to get started with it. So I'm sure at this test, if I was performing it with perfectly clean contacts, would be great, but we're not all vaping with perfectly clean contacts every day. So we're looking at about 4.06 is the read on the battery. We've got a Kraken with dual wick reading through 0.34. Go ahead and slide this thing on there. Tighten her down. Get a nice 3.74. So 3.75. So we're looking at about a 0.3 drop in voltage, and that is definitely not bad for contacts that have never been cleaned. I guarantee if I hit these things with some Neverdull that I could narrow that down to 0.2 or less with some time and some energy. Now, like I was saying, the one thing that you want to be careful of with this mod is the bottom button. You know, at first I thought that it was just made wrong or it was a manufacturer's defect, and I took the button apart many times to go ahead and try to figure out what the reasoning was for it. And while we've got this thing apart, let's just talk about that button real quick. People are saying it's a nemesis button. This is not a nemesis button. There's one major difference, and that's that the pin is in constant contact with the battery. You can see that's a nice large contact there. This is in constant contact with the battery. The actual mechanics that complete the circuit are on the inside of the button. And I could take it apart and show you all that, but I can just, it's really difficult to keep it all together on camera, and the power of the magnets actually, the button tends to shoot in different directions once you pop it apart. But this is a threaded piece of Delrin. This is threaded into it, and when you unthread this Delrin out of here, you'll see that there's another silver contact in the bottom, and Infinite's saying that this is actually silver plated copper contacts, and I'm not going to scratch the silver off to find that. I'm satisfied enough with the performance that I'll just take their word for it. As you pop this off, you'll see that there's a magnet on the inside of this contact and there's a magnet on the inside of the other contact. They're both made of silver, and when you depress the button, the contact is made on the insides of the switch as opposed to coming up and making contact with the battery on something like your Nemesis. So we've got our atomizer flush. We're going to go ahead and put the battery, the cap back on here, the switch. Rattle it back and forth. You got to make sure I've got it nice and flat and just finger tight. That's about perfect. It doesn't like to be too tight. So you can see the travel on it's real nice. The throw is not incredibly long. I wouldn't recommend taking the switch apart to try to change the throw, because once you start doing that, it really changes the mechanics of the whole switch and it can make it kind of wonky. The drip tip is good. Put it all together. One thing I am a little anal about is having my logos line up, which you can do because you have a floating 510 connection and the button eliminates the battery rattle. So this is great. Like I said, the lock switch really easy to operate. And that's basically it. I think the engravings are done really well on this thing. I like the way that it's patinaing. You can see that it looks like it appears to match that Kraken really nicely when you're looking at it with it setting on top. And this is the thing, I don't know if this is made of phantom brass or not. It definitely patinas in a very different way from my other polished brass mods. You can see it's turned like a champagne color. Now when this is on top you can't really see a big difference, but as you put them next to each other in the same light you can see that this has more of a golden sheen and this is more of a champagne color, and they're obviously very different colors when you look at them next to each other, but up here you can't see it so much. So we'll go back out to a wide shot. I'll give you my final thoughts on this thing. I think the threading, everything's just really great on this. So yeah, let's go back out and we'll talk a little bit more about this and I'll let you know what I think. That is good. Alright, so three things: quality, use, overall use, and value. We'll start with the quality. The threading is exquisite. It's everything that you would expect from a high-end mod. It threads together beautifully. The lock ring is smooth enough to you can just flick it with your finger and it locks and unlocks. The top cap and all the milling on that is done really, really well. The floating pin is just butter smooth. It moves in and out very, very freely. The airflow design in the top cap is just, I think it's awesome. The fact that you cannot see the seam in this mod, even after I've been using it for 3 weeks, and it's starting to get that patina to it. It's really great. You have to really be looking for it to see the seam. It looks great with this cracking on it. The drip tip is great. It's a pretty wide bore, doesn't get too hot, and it doesn't seem to have any of those problems that they were talking about on the very first review video that came onto YouTube, where the guy had it with the infinite kind of laser inscribed on there, and he was talking about the lacquer, which is actually brass plating that was coming off of his. I haven't run into that issue, and I've been using it for 3 weeks. I haven't cleaned it because I'm really enjoying the color that it's turning. Voltage drop is minimal. Value. Now this one was given to me by somebody who picked it up off of eBay, and it was given to me as a gift. They paid 75 bucks for it. That's a little bit high. These can be had for around $45 or so. Like I said, I've had it for 3 weeks, so it was one of the first ones that came out, so the people on eBay were able to really set the price on it for the people who wanted to have it first. They can be had a couple of different places that I've seen the actual infinite clones get carried, but I say overall this thing's a winner, other than the small issue that I had with the bottom button. But once you get it put together properly, it fires like a champ. Very low, minimal voltage drop, especially for a clone. If you can get your hands on one, I suggest you go out and pick it up, have a quick vape. My mind, that's good. So overall, if you can get one of these, go get it. This is Ed from South Jersey Vapors. Thanks for watching. Check out all our other videos. Look down in the box, like us on Facebook, South Jersey Vapors, and have a good day and vape on.